Folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. How are we supposed to feel about that win against the Warriors, in which the FBI may be on line 1, 2, or 3 for what they did in the fourth quarter? We welcome everybody to Toyota Warriors postgame live. I can't front, folks. The Hall of Famer Chris Mullin, NBA champion Festus Ezeli. I am Bonte Hill. They did not play their guys just like Brooklyn in the fourth quarter. I mean, yeah, you'll take it. Biggers can be choosers. But if you play like this next week against Denver, San Antonio, Cleveland, and Houston, the Warriors will get blown out.
So a couple of things about this game. This is a big deal. The Warriors won 3 games in a row, but you're going against the Washington Wizards, who are a historically bad team. And your job in this game is to start to build good habits. We talked about the turnovers. The Warriors only had 12 turnovers today, which was good. They had 6 turnovers in the third quarter. That's what really led this whole run, let the Washington Wizards back in the game. Darius Coulibaly had a big third quarter. He had 10 points in 3 minutes in the third quarter. So the Warriors have to find ways, because there's positives in this game, but some of the negatives are overshadowing it, because they have to find ways to keep the foot on the gas pedal, take care of the basketball, continue to attack, play defense, not let guys have straight line drives. They let the Washington Wizards shoot 50%, over 50% from the field. These are all things that are negatives. Positive, Kristaps Porzingis looked phenomenal tonight. Yeah. He started off the game 11 points in the first quarter. He was just on fire. I thought in the clutch, you relied on Gui, you relied on Kristaps, and you relied on Podziemski. These are guys who are building momentum offensively right now.
Yeah, I mean, everyone played pretty well. Steve only played 8 guys, really. The bench was really good. Cryer, Payton, and Spencer all in double figures. You mentioned Porzingis had a great game. Gui was phenomenal. Pods was really good. But the defense, there was really no resistance. This team really struggles. It's a struggling team. And for them to shoot 50%, you got to get better there. I like the 12 turnovers. Huge improvement from where they've been. Efficiency numbers off the chart. So they get 32 assists, 19 made threes. Again, we talked free throws pregame. 24 of 31 from the free throw line. So a good balanced attack. After this game, the fact that they kept the turnovers down, I think is a plus. A lot of good individual performances offensively. Draymond had 10 assists.
True.
But the defense has to get better before they go to Denver.
Washington shot 52.5% from the floor. They made 18 threes. They averaged 13 made threes on the season. So, yeah, Warriors do get the win, and that's something to feel good about, but they cannot play like this next week. No. But Kristaps Porzingis, another silver lining here. He looks better. And
defense is 50% of the game, and that is undervalued so far in the MVP race, because I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league.
So that was Victor Wembanyama earlier this week, and then Wemby backed up his talk by dominating yet again last night, finished with 19 points, 15 rebounds, and a ridiculous 7 blocks in the Spurs' 123-98 win over the Grizzlies. Now, people around the league took notice of his comments earlier in the week, including Warriors forward Draymond Green. Listen to him.
I hated it, and I absolutely loved it. And the reason is because the reason I hated it is because until Wemby said defense is 50% of the game, it was like, oh, man, no one realized that? Right? Like, no one realized that 50% of the game we play is on that end of the floor. So he comes out and makes this profound-ass statement, and it's like, oh, of course it is. And everybody's like, oh, man, he has a great point. Hello? You think? So I hated it because he had to do that for that to then be said. All of a sudden, you turn on TV and everybody's like, actually, maybe Wemby is the MVP. And I can agree with that. Maybe he is. But the fact that he has to come out and remind people, hey, y'all see what I do over there? It's like an indictment on the game of basketball. And everybody, talk all of this stuff about, oh, man, you got to play both sides. And everybody want to crush Luka Doncic when Luka doesn't live up to the standard of defense. But we got this guy defending entire teams, and no one took it into account until he said, well, number one, defense is 50% of the game.
An indictment on the game. Does Draymond have a point when he says that? Jay Will, I see you shaking your head.
No, it's not an indictment on the game. That's Draymond's indictment on media and the way the game is covered. And that's what he really means to say here. Because basketball people, like the people on this show, When Wendy or Stephen A. or I talk about Wemby, we're having conversations about him maybe being the most dominant player in the history of the game. And it always starts with what he does on the defensive end, that he blocks out the sun, or every shot that comes towards the rim, he can contest or deflect or change or alter shots around the rim. We're talking about him in a historical context with Shaq in the way, even though Shaq wasn't as defensively minded as he was, like dominance on the defensive end. So to me, this has always been, whether it's Draymond with new media, whether it's Draymond and the way the game is covered, and it's such a large array of people that cover this game. I don't know why Draymond only focuses on those people that only focus on offense. Yes, offense sells. Yes, offense makes the game faster. Yeah, we're going to talk about, why do we love Cade Cunningham? Because he defends on both sides of the floor. He D's up and he tries to give you buckets. Why do we love Jaylen Brown? Because he tried to strap up SGA last night in the fourth quarter, and he's a two-way player. Why the players that we're talking about in the MVP conversation are playing on both sides of the floor, and it's meaningful to them in the way their DNA is built. So I think it's an indictment on media, not on the game of basketball.
Wendy, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. This is, again, another straw man argument. Like, I love that Draymond is so loquacious. I love when he has these post-game sessions. He did that earlier this year when he thought he might get traded. He had a very raw, revealing discussion with the media about how he was feeling. And, like, athletes doing that, I think, is amazing. I want him to keep doing that. But this is, frankly, it's preposterous. Of course, the MVP has been based on defense for generations. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an excellent defensive player. All 4 years LeBron won MVP. He was first team all defense. How far do I got to go back? Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan. I think he won 6 MVPs 4 of those years. I think he was all defense. What do you think? It didn't matter. Giannis Antetokounmpo, both of his MVPs, he was all defense. 1 year he won the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Stephen A., I think he made all defense 11 times. I didn't look it up. I'm sure a bunch of them came in the years when he won all those MVPs. Yes, there are certain years when there are offensive players who may win the MVP, such as when Jokic has won it, which I think is kind of the undercurrent maybe he's talking about here. I don't know. But, and like he referenced Evan Mobley in this rant. Last year, from the beginning of the season to the end, everybody knew Evan Mobley was having a great defensive season. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was second team All-NBA. This is a straw man argument. He wants to take pot shots. Go ahead, but it's not based in reality. The media and the award voters have always recognized the importance of defense when selecting the top players. Yes, Victor said that, but we all knew Victor was going to be a great defensive player. That didn't sneak up on all of us. It wasn't like none of us knew. He was probably going to be the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year before he made those comments the other day. So go ahead and take pot shots. I got it. But the results of how the voting has gone for generations do not match what he is just saying.
Listen, it's a straw man's argument to some degree. Not completely, Wendy, but to some degree you're right. And Jay's points are very, very valid as well. But can we really keep it a buck and talk about why Draymond Green said what he said? It's because Draymond Green is somebody that at times feels underappreciated. Do y'all know that Draymond Green is in his 8th consecutive year where he hasn't even averaged double digits in points? 8 straight years since he has averaged less than 10 points a game. And we call him a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer. We remember that he's a 4-time champion. And we also say Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and those boys don't have a championship without Draymond Green. So clearly, there's some feelings there. As an elite defensive player who was a former Defensive Player of the Year, who was a top 3 candidate for Defensive Player of the Year in this league on at least 3 or 4 occasions. That's who Draymond Green is, and that's who the individual that was talking. The problem that he has is, the lack of recognition for those who prioritize defense. And my point is, how come you ain't blaming the league? Look at the changes that was infused into the league. The league wanted more offense. The league has compromised defenders. You have all-world defenders, Hall of Famers who are retired, obviously, who've complained about what the league allows now compared to what they did back in the day. They want to be able to put their forearm on you. They want to be able to get physical with you. Now, you can get teed up, thrown out of a game, or at the very least get 6 fouls for passing gas. It's that damn bad sometimes in the NBA circles. Things have changed, okay? How come he didn't bring that up? Draymond knows that. Draymond knows that the media ain't guilty of that. It's the league, but he didn't say that because he's new media. And because he's new media, he's looking at the old guard or conventional media, and he's challenging us to cover the game in its completion. Wendy, I don't think he's completely wrong about that. I do think there are cases he can point to where us as media members could do a better job in highlighting stuff, you know, with the same energy, as they say. Keep the same energy, don't lose energy. Don't lose the intensity, keep the same intensity. I get that part. But you're also right in highlighting that it hasn't been ignored. We just haven't been as loquacious about it as he would like us to be. But here is where we drop the mic on Draymond Green when it comes to what he said. You know who else hasn't talked about it, Draymond? You. You've had your podcast for years.
What if the Warriors are not just surviving without Steph anymore? What if they're actually starting to build a real identity while he's still out? Because that is exactly what this 131-126 win over the Wizards felt like. Not perfect, not stress-free, not some polished title contender masterpiece, but real. Golden State won its third straight for the first time in nearly 2 months, improved to 36-38, and did it again without Stephen Curry, who has now missed 24 straight games and still isn't back yet. That matters because this team is not sitting around waiting for a rescue. It's learning how to fight while incomplete. And the tone got set immediately by Kristaps Porzingis. The man came out and scored the Warriors' first 11 points. 11! Yeah, that's how you announce yourself. He finished with 28 points and 8 assists, and it wasn't just scoring, it was control. He gave the Warriors size, floor spacing, playmaking, and a center of gravity early in the game when they needed one. Golden State jumped out to a 38-25 first-quarter lead, and that opening burst mattered because Washington was not just going to roll over. The Wizards had already snapped a 16-game losing streak in their previous game, and they came into Chase ready to run, shoot, and make this uncomfortable. Then came Gui Santos again. And at this point, we need to stop treating this like a cute little surprise story. This is real production now. After dropping a career-high 31 against Brooklyn, Gui came right back with 27 against Washington, and when the game got tight late, he made the pressure free throws with 11.4 seconds left to push the lead back to 5. That is trust. That is growth. That's a young player turning confidence into real late-game value. And then Brandon Podziemski slammed the door with the steal on the inbounds pass after already putting up 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's winning basketball, man. That's multiple guys carrying real weight. Now, yes, let's keep it real, because this game absolutely got shaky. Washington actually went up 111-106 with about 6:30 left in the fourth. So after Golden State led most of the night, it suddenly looked like one of those classic "how did they let this slip" moments. But that's why I actually like this win more. The Warriors didn't just play well when things were comfortable, they responded when things got ugly. Reuters noted that Golden State closed with a 19-5 burst, and another recap highlighted a late 16-2 run that flipped the game back. That's not luck, that's response, that's poise, that's a team refusing to hand the game away. And look at the bigger picture now. Steph is progressing toward live 5-on-5 work and another evaluation next week, but he's still out. Al Horford is still working back, and the Warriors are still short-handed. Even with that, they've now won 3 straight, and they're doing it with actual structure. Porzingis giving them interior skill, Pods giving them all-around control, Gui turning into a legitimate spark, and the role players staying active enough to keep the floor balanced. This is how you keep a season alive while waiting for your superstar. Not by panicking, by stacking wins, by learning who you can trust, by building belief. So my takeaway is simple. This wasn't just a win over Washington. This was another sign that the Warriors are getting tougher, smarter, and more connected at exactly the right time. No, they're not whole. No, they're not clean every night, but they are finding answers, and that makes them dangerous. Tell me what you think. Is Porzingis the biggest reason for this streak, or is Gui Santos becoming the surprise force nobody saw coming? Drop your take in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and keep rocking with Dub Nation.